These always messing around on me. Okay, there we go. All right, this is where we're doing our project status from. You'll see we're getting some space in here, which means they're moving down into here just to let you go. I try to get it a little bit better. I got a small screen here. Unfortunately, this is big. This is our requirements gathering, discovery, requirements approval, story development section. Of course, this is September. And this is our development section, our lane here, and this is UAT down here. This is what you're seeing right here that was in UAT until tomorrow. I believe this one closed out yesterday. That's a tighter group right now. That's not a large group, the referral system. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. So now that you got your bearings straight on this, and so we can see this madness. So Olivia's got some pre-screening recommendation pages, application, uploads, I believe is probably closed. Application document upload, these are probably similar. I'm working in this area, outcomes. We got 3 documents in review, and this one's close. So we are close. Now, some of these, of course, you'll see 10.3, 11.28, 12.19, 10.30. The design is that they're going to move into this next section and go forward. So that's good news. We got to peel out these 2 and a couple more, maybe 5 of these. This one here hasn't started. This one here hasn't started. So that's where we are on that. In development, we have customer profile and pre-screening, referral system. We've got some goals and objectives, services going on. We've got user management going on, which is it's going to be a big crossover for us. Lynette's heading that up, and it's taking some work to get all that intermingled with the rest of our code. So, but we have to get to that point. Pre-screen email invites, report landing page. Those are all. And then this is the training, Kelly's training asset development stuff. And you'll see that along the way as that comes by. And soon I'm saying when those get to a stable point, then you'll be able to look at those also while you're doing UAT. If we got them lined up, of course, right between what you're UATing and what is done in that asset management stuff for training. Okay. These don't have dates or sprints yet because we don't know where. We got one more sprint 41 that'll start tomorrow. It'll take us through right to the end of the month. I guess the end of the month is on a Tuesday or something. So the end of the month they'll come right before that's complete. But we really kind of got one more sprint in September. So that'll be good. And that's where we are. Any questions on any of this stuff or any of these words that you're like, what is that? If you got any questions, don't hesitate to call us out or give us a shout out in chat. Let me get my chat somewhere where I can see it because we're going to need that. Okay, so today we are going to look at the UAT notes for training. I'm going to talk to you about some of those. I want to discuss some of the issues you might have had in that training, or I'm sorry, UAT training. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'll be interested to see how everybody feels about how that went. That's going to close tomorrow. Let me see if I can find my notebook. There we go. No, it's not my notebook. There it is. All right. Okay. Looks like we've had a few. Thank you for all that have put their name in here when they got in. If anybody got in and didn't see this reviewer check-in, because I didn't talk about that too much, um, don't hesitate to go back there and throw your name in there. So, at least because if you didn't have any comments, then we know you got to look at it. Okay. Um, we're going to start right here. The first one, actually locating and viewing the training plans. I didn't actually get a lot on this, too much on this. I got some questions about adding and updating entities and entity locations. Um, and I got some information about pre-screening, which was not part of the UAT. We discussed yesterday renaming an entity and what that meant. And we got deep into that. We're going to have some more discussion on that with Chicago. I'm going to try to schedule a meeting for that. And then we got down here to maybe it was this one, 160. No, it's still that. Um, that still has to do with, so I don't see any local comments in here on this page. Um, all right, so I'm going to go here, but let me just where's my I got to get these in the right spot. Let me put this one right over here. Let me go to here. Okay, but let me just go back through real one more time, just in case anybody had any trouble. What we were trying to do is get you into entity management, and then selecting an entity. Um, I think I saw a training plan on this by somebody. Selecting an entity and going into training programs, and then here being able to see what was pending or what's active, and then hitting this add training program selection. And that's what this was supposed to be about. Okay. The next one, add training program. This one here, we had quite a bit of interest on the zip code. Okay. I was surprised to find that I couldn't click more than one code. Okay. So when that opens up, okay, we did some deep dive into that yesterday. So there is an improvement we're going to do off of this because this evidently is a little bit confusing the way it's laid out. Okay. And um, the couple confusing things is this statement here might be pushed up too close to that too. And it says enter a zip code or search for the appropriate zip code for this program. And this is the entry portion. If you knew a zip code, you would, by number, you could just enter that and hit this add code. Now, unfortunately, this add code button has kind of faded into the background and it doesn't even look like it's available, even when you put something in here. So that was probably the first thing that was confusing. The second thing is do I add or do I search? And does this add another one? So that was confusing. You're only trying to get one zip code here. And we wanted to give the option of adding one or searching. So here's what we're going to do. Actually, I'm going to show you real quick, just 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so if you were here and put 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 in here and hit add, it would find that and put that right in there. And then if you wanted to search for a code and you said, I'm going to put this one in here, it goes up here. There's a couple things that we noticed yesterday that are a little bit goofy with this. This is only supposed to show you which code you're getting ready to put in there. This did not seem to uncheck it. The only way you can get that to go away is uncheck it and check a different one. So it's a little kludgy there. We're going to get this to work, which will be removing it from this list. This is the zip codes you select, but there's only one. And then the other thing we're going to do is get it to uncheck when you do that. Now you see that, put that across it. So what we're going to do also is just put one button here and probably put it right close to this. And if you type something in here and you hit that button, I'm not sure what, add zip code or search zip codes, but anyway, if it validates that and it's good, it'll just put it right down there. If it cannot validate that, then it will open this up. So that's what we're going to do, I think, to improve this experience with this. Does anybody this doesn't, this is something else I'm going to look into is you can't really add a number. It's only a word search, right? You found that out probably. Adding a number like you said, 52, doesn't do anything. You can't even hit the button, right? So if that said nurse and you search for that, then it would bring anything that had nurse in it. So that's a word search, not a number search. But there's no reason we couldn't allow you to enter all or part of something like that and hit the search. So that's the other thing that was a little confusing. So I think we're going to do a little bit of improvement in that zip code area because we did get quite a bit here onto that. So we're going to clean that up for you and make that a little bit better search feature and make that more clear. Any other comments like on that zip code? I think there's 3 or 4 people had problems with that.
Al, this is Dave Taylor.
Yes, Dave.
I handle the ETPL currently for our LWA, and I still wonder how a new provider will navigate this. I was trying to think about that. A lot of providers don't even know what a zip code is, so that's the challenge.
Yeah, it will be. We're going to have more informational. We haven't put these on here yet. If you noticed, there wasn't any info bubbles that'll help them along the way. We'll put them behind each one of those. Like there will be an eye here that they can click, and there'll be an info bubble about that on each of these that we feel like we need. All of these probably. So that will help, I think. Now, just to get you to understand something too is when they let me cancel this. I'm going to exit without saving. When they uh, come into the system, they're not going to be dropped into that list, by the way, obviously. They're not even going to be this list. They're going to be dropped into this page. So once they've added their provider, every time they come back in, they're dropped into this page, which will get some familiarity. So they're not looking at a bunch of other entities, obviously. I'm sure you probably figured that, but that's one thing. The other thing is training plans used to be buried down here, so we did bring it up into a tab to get that right in front of them, training programs. And then, um, this is the information. This, by the way, probably threw people off. Should be a link that's been fixed since we got this into UAT. But that gets you into the location itself. And of course, training plans on that location are there too. So you can see training, but yeah, it'll take but you'll probably get instead of, you'll probably get some questions directed to you when or about this process that once you get familiar with it, hopefully you'll be able to answer. Okay. All right. Program of study, of course, is the first tab on here.
Hey, Al,
Yes, go ahead.
did you address the problem that I saw where you get stuck in the no results found pop-up that you can't get out of it?
That's,
Yeah,
oh,
there at the bottom. You have to cancel out and go back in.
no, I did not see that.
I just wondered.
No, let's get to that. Let's just go here and add a program. Okay, and you were in the search, right?
Yeah,
So you entered the name or part of a name. Is this part of this? Yeah. And
yeah.
select the search button field. Optionally, you can expand the categories to, oh, this is what you copied. But this right here is what you did? 5203.
Yeah, because I didn't realize it was looking for the name and not the number, but still, if you get into the
I'm
no
sorry. I'm
results
sorry.
found,
I'm sorry. I got, yeah,
yeah.
52 dot. Oh, because the dot allowed you to, let me see what you put in exactly. 520301, 0301. So I search, no results found.
Okay, so the search button is still blue. Looks like you could be able to search again, but you can't, once you get that no results found, you you can't do anything
Yeah, you just need to hit
without
that
canceling out of it in
without
order.
clearing that search, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't clear it. So if you did do something wrong, the only way to get out is to cancel or close the box and then go back in again.
You mean this? No, you can't. I just cleared that. What do you mean? And then I can do anything, right? You didn't see that X probably. That's probably another, maybe that's another problem. But see that X right there?
Yeah, because it's outside the box.
That's the problem. Well, two things. This shouldn't be
Yeah, and that shouldn't be blue, right?
right, but
So
this
yeah,
you didn't see. So you're like, well, what do
no,
I do? Yeah,
no, interesting.
yeah, I get it. No, we're gonna improve this. That's another good one. Kelly, make sure you take a note of that too. I didn't really notice that because I thought when I typed in a number 5230, well, it does give me a search. That's right. But this isn't working. We're gonna get this working. There's no reason we can't do that too. And maybe we'll do something different to clear it out, I guess. Not sure what we will do, but differently, maybe.
I also just think it's confusing because a zip code implies the number. Like that's what you're thinking. I'm thinking like a provider. Like a
Right. No, we're gonna allow them to allow you to do either one.
Sure.
It does say right here, enter the name or part of the program name.
Right.
Um, all programs are retrieved by leave. This should be probably not retrieved. Okay, optionally you can expand the categories. Um, but as long as we had both here, I think it wouldn't be a problem, right? If you typed in a number or browsed or typed in, you know, this, then I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. If we just let's try that first to allow it to take all or part of a number. Like even if I typed in 01, it would, bring me a lot. It'd bring me all those back, it'd bring that one back, But if I typed in 01 dot, it should only bring these back. So we'll work on this. We'll get this better. And then I'll try to figure out something about how to be more intuitive that um, you're going to need to hit that X. Or maybe we don't have to hit the X, maybe we just don't need that, right? Just
What
say,
if
okay,
you just rename the button to clear
yeah, reset.
instead of an X or
Yeah,
reset or something?
reset. I
Yeah.
think we need a reset instead of an X. We have, and just say why I said reset is I think we have reset out here. See that? If we give this button here, because that's what this button, just reset it with the little thing there. We'll put that button in there. That way, it'll be easier and more intuitive. Okay.
Or if it's no results found, can you go into that box and at least like put a cursor and then delete? If it says no results found, are you able to go into the box where you're
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
delete that and then
Yeah, I could put
retype?
nurse.
Oh, okay. So at least you could start over
Yeah, you
that.
don't have to clear it out if you just want to go over top of it,
Oh, okay.
you know. It's just that it was subtle and so subtle that when this was done, it was like, well, what do I do, I guess? And you just have to either go there and change it
Yeah, I mean, I just was going.
or maybe we don't need that at all, right? Maybe we don't need it at all. This X. If that
Yeah, I
X
mean,
wasn't there, what
reset
would you
button.
do? You would go back in here and say, I'm going to do something else, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no X on Google search.
but the reset button is a good, if it's feasible, that actually, yeah, that would be good too, I think.
Reset works, so yeah. I mean,
That
reset button is easy. We can throw that
it
in.
makes it a little more obvious, I guess. That's what it's
Yeah,
for.
I think it may need to be on the other side too. I don't know, but we'll work on that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's that. SIP feature again. That was that. Is there something here? No. I don't know if anybody who entered, I know I had some of the state folks entering new locations. I didn't see if any of the locals entered any new locations. Okay, so what am I talking about? Like, okay, so I got a program here. I want to say this is neither. I'm going to come down here. I can, if I didn't see my location because I haven't added it yet, I could add a new location right here, right? And once I do that, I can, okay. When I do that and save it, it checks the address against outside system. I don't know if anybody got hung up on this, but this is the one that's recommended. This is the one you entered. If you went ahead and continued, it would keep the one you entered. If you wanted that one, you would select that. And then it comes back into here. And then you can select it. I don't know if anybody did that, but that was what we had going on there. That's other zip code stuff. Okay, is there anything else on that anybody struggle with on program of study page that they may or may not have put a note in there about?
The only thing I would add, Al, is that yes, no button. I kept trying to drag it. I kept forgetting it's just a click.
Oh yeah, this.
It just looked to my eyes like I'm supposed to click and drag it, but
Yeah, toggles could go either way. Yeah, some people, especially when you're using it on a touchscreen device, a tablet or a phone, you get used to kind of sort of swiping or dragging it.
Yeah, we have those toggles everywhere. I don't know if they're any better than the check boxes have been in the past, but um, the thing it's at least a little clearer than the check boxes is the checkbox only has the positive language on it, and it's either checked or unchecked to no, where these have yes or no, and the language is up here. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Huh. Yeah. Thanks for telling me that. I like that. I like that intuitiveness there that you found. Okay, register print. So if you didn't realize, then this button here would give you a register apprenticeship page. This button here gives you pre-apprenticeship page, and this one is everything else, right? Which is actually classified as neither one of these two. When you have these two, you do not have the cost page, okay? And you should not have performance page. We're going to drop that out too, but right now it's in there. When you have everything else, so to speak, then you have a program cost page. So just wanted you to know that again, just if you were wondering what the heck happened. One more thing I'm going to say on this page here. I saw a note on this that said, well, why can't I must have saved this already. Okay, well, I guess you can. Okay. But when you come in here, they're used at the first. Let me actually exit here. Where am I at? When you come into a new program, when you add a new program, you'll notice these are really not selectable. We have to get this information in from the first page before we save that as a real program. And we can't really, you don't have a notes here because we can't save a note against anything or really add any of this other data until we've established a training program in our database. So that's why once you get this page established, then all these kind of light up and you can select any of these. That's why there's no notes. If anybody didn't understand, I think somebody said that and I tried to explain it, but maybe I didn't explain it well. But this page, almost everything on here, this page is, notice it does not, is needed. And because of that, even when it added that, I still have got everything I can't do there. And you don't see the notes yet. So once I save this, I either hit next or save and exit. But if I hit next, everything kind of lights up. Now I have the notes page. Now all these are clickable. So just wanted you to know that. Okay, registered apprenticeship. Well, reps know what type they are. We didn't hit this yet yesterday, but if let me go back to the program of study. What she's talking about there is this type, time, competency, or hybrid. We're going to have obviously an info bubble here, but that's based on, are you completed with the apprenticeship program based on time, or is it based on some competency? Or do you have like some kind of test strategy, practical test strategy or something along the way? And once you pass those tests, then you're gonna, you get your completion of that, or is it a little bit of both? There's a time element and, you got to do this for 6 months and you got to have some competency. I don't know if anybody struggled with that, but we'll put an info bubble on that to make sure everybody knows what that is. I'm looking at the notes real quick, Rory. A while ago when we were testing initial add entity functions in the UAT, I had started to create an entity and I thought I had saved it. Maybe I didn't. I don't see it. We may have cleaned that UAT out, that data, and I apologize if we did, but we may have cleaned that out. And it'll probably get cleaned out again before your next UAT. Eventually, we'll be able to save some of that data, but we haven't yet because we're putting in, as we build this system out and we get new functionality, new features, the database is growing and it's getting changed. And sometimes that data that we had before doesn't fit into that new architecture. So because we're all testing this in cycles, so to speak, we're also developing in cycles ahead of our testing. And so sometimes we can't keep some of the data if it doesn't have all the attributes that we need for the new release. So I just wanted to tell you that. Apologize for that, but we're dealing with that too in our QA area. So
Hey, Al, can you go back to that page?
yeah, you bet.
This is just a really picky thing, but if you a number of active apprenticeships in the Illinois,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Very good. That's not picky. That's what we want people to catch. A lot of other people didn't catch it. Okay. And then Not sure if I could see this better or not, but something's wrong here. Okay. Same note as above. Probably will they know what these things are? And then here's one. Do we define what these program costs include? Well, for apps, the way I understand, they don't have to give their cost. And we even, say providing the cost is optional, however, providing this information is beneficial to potential apprenticeships. So, they can provide that cost however they want, I guess, so to speak. Okay, anything else on that page?
I mean, I'd imagine, if it's already a registered approved apprenticeship in order to be automatically eligible and included on the ETPL, I mean, the training provider, I guess maybe it depends on whether it's the sponsor or the RIT providing the related technical, or RTI, excuse me, related technical instruction provider that's entering it into IWDS. But I would imagine they know if they're competency based, time based. They know they'd have to know.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I'd imagine they went through that process when they submitted it to DOL to get the apprenticeship program itself registered. I mean, I don't mean to discredit the question by any means, and I'm sure, an info bubbles like on any screen would always be helpful, but I'm inclined to think that they would know that. Hopefully, by the time they're submitting it, for WIOA ETPL eligibility. If the program's already registered with DOL, then like I said, either the sponsor or the RTI provider would know. I think they'll know what type it is, because they have to determine that when they, submit the apprenticeship to be approved and become registered through DOL.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to go back here so that I can prepare to, well, I thought I was. Okay, this is what I think I just saw here. I got to make sure that I log this real quick, because I didn't understand this, but I just had it happen to me. So. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it caused that. I know what caused that. So we have to answer these questions here. And I think is the issue. No, that's not the issue. This is locked up for some reason. Huh. I don't know how I got to there, but I did lock it up. Okay. Good. I need to make sure that I look this up, see what's going on there. It's a bug. Okay, pre-apprenticeship. Nothing, I got nothing yet on that. All right, outcomes. I think we got a lot on here. Okay, and we're kind of digging through this. I think the first thing was missing the first question and then going right to the toggles and then not finding out that you missed something until you got to the bottom. So I think that way. Let me go ahead and do neither. Let's go ahead and hit. Get that done. Let me get this done. Should memorize one of these. Okay, now I want to go next. The program should have saved. Okay, this is your outcomes. Okay, and I think what this right here, this section here, is definitely not intuitive enough for people to say, I need to hit this outcomes button. So one thing is, I think this needs to be down and this needs to be closer to that. And then the second one is we need more space here with potential indication in here that the outcomes come in here. So I definitely agree with whoever that was, that we are going to clean that up a little bit. I'll get more into that later for you. Okay, I do depend management regularly, and if I missed it, I'm sure others would too. Yep.
Al, the other big issue for us sometimes is that description of license or certification. I think the key phrase for us in WIOA is industry recognized certification, as opposed to a community college certificate,
Yeah,
for
so
example.
you probably noticed these three are not aren't complete. Okay, this is going to be broken into industry recognized certificate and industry recognized certification. And then you're saying on that other page, yeah, too. And there's license recognized, right? So this in here is close. You'll notice that it doesn't have much in it yet. These outcomes, just a few in here. And then these issuing bodies, there's not much in here either. But those are that's one of the homework assignments at the state level. They're getting me all of these three, and they're also getting me all the associations to each of these, so that if I select this, then it's going to give me all the industry recognized certificates that we have in our database. And then if it's and you notice also it's supposed to have other in it. I think there's an other here. But when each of these if any of these get other, then you have to type that in. So this is going to get, I mean, it's working, but it's going to get cleaned up to be more realistic here pretty soon. So I just wanted to tell everybody that.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's just not full of data yet. Then this here, you're saying probably should also say industry recognized, right?
I think that would be helpful.
Okay. I'm going to put that in my notes. Okay. I don't know if this was understandable, but does the program prepare a student for license certification? Is the license required to be employed in the field? Has the program been approved by licensed body? If you say yes, you have to upload that document. Does the provider pay for the license or certification? May or may not. Okay. And does the training provider assist students in job placement? Is separate down here. And that would be all of that. So I think in order for me to get through this, I better put something in here and save it. Otherwise, okay, that's good. We don't have to do that, but I want to, and I'm going to go next. Good. Okay. When you went back to outcomes, you could actually name my outcome. Yeah, that's going to be cleaned up. Okay. Sorry about that. We didn't have those in there. Yeah, sorry. There's just not the right data in there. So I really apologize about that. Let me see if there's down here.
Hey, Al,
Yes,
on the question of whether the employer pays for the certification or whatever,
you bet.
would that be part of, say, if the cost of that certification is part of the tuition? How would that be recognized in this?
That's a very good question.
Does a provider pay for the license certification testing? We in our last review with local, somebody said, "Hey, can we have that question in front of our cost page so that when they go to cost page, then they really should probably put that as other expense, right? Now you said if it's included in tuition, I guess that's
I
okay.
mean, sometimes they just have like a chart, this is what the program costs, because in some cases, they may even include books in the tuition,
Yeah, you
in
can
whatever.
just do that as long as you put zeros in these other ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
not to split hairs, sorry, but I think I understand. I have the same understanding of the question. It might just be kind of the wording where it says, "As a provider, pay for this," versus like another way to say it might be, uh, are the costs of the license or certification included in? I mean, my version is too long, but I know, but something to that effect, like are the fees or costs for the license certification included in the program?
Yeah, that's where I was
Costs,
going, Rory.
like that part, but without the pay for the, well, I guess you could leave that in there, just as long as it clarifies that they mean like normally would the provider just be paying for it, without getting any, remuneration or compensation from, the student's tuition or from the WIOA, ITA, from the WIOA grant. But that's kind of where I was looking at it is would a provider think like, oh wait, I'm supposed to pay for this, without compensation, like we're footing the bill for it. And then for some programs, I mean, some providers,
Okay, yeah, I think there's a,
providers do, but
I,
yeah, as long as it says like, yeah, I think the gist was like, would this be included in the cost, so that if we give an ITA
Yeah,
voucher,
so like,
not only
is the
tuition-
cost of any license and certification included in the program cost? Something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, there's a confusing because of this or here.
And it just, does the provider pay? That just seems like that's where it hit me, is like, wait a minute.
So really, is it included in the
Yeah,
costs for the program? Because ultimately, um,
Could a
it's going to
describe
be
button
included.
be included there?
What's that?
Could we have two describe boxes? One that goes hand in hand with that. Does the provider pay? Could there be a describe, fill in the blank
Yeah,
like we have for the one below?
ultimately, I think, is it included or not? Because, you know, if the provider pays for it, right, they've collected enough money to pay for it, right? Like that's the nature of doing business, right? If I said, hey, you know, you come in and get your car serviced and you get a free oil change, well, you paid for it. But you know what I'm saying? So it's like really we just need to know if the license cost or certification cost or testing costs are included in the cost for the program. Okay. Or basically, are you going to need, in addition to the cost of the program, are you going to need that, right? So whether the provider pays for it or not, that ultimately, I don't know that matters. We really want to know, I think, if I'm hearing right, we just really want to know if the license or certification testing costs are included in the cost for the program. So I'll get those folks to work on that a little bit and see if we can get a better, but I agree with you now that I look at it.
Oh, and you know what? I think I might have even chimed in on that a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. I think I know possibly where what might have prompted that part of it is that with some of the providers, there's the program of the course could lead to like a CompTIA A+ or a Cisco CNP, but the provider may not be able to purchase those exam vouchers
Yep.
with or without our WIOA grant ITA money. The student might still be responsible for like registering for that on their own, and then
Exactly.
they pay and we reimburse the student. Maybe I think
That's where this came from in that discussion, Roy. That's
I
where it
think
came
so,
from.
and it is kind of a valid point, but
It's just not.
I
It's
think that
just
might have
not.
been where that came from.
We'll
So
just need to reword it. I just think we need
yeah,
to
I get it.
I think I agree with you guys. It's just the more I read it, the more it's more confusing again.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I think you are right, though. It is a black and white question. It
Yeah.
is either a yes or no.
Right. Yeah. Is it in there or not? Are they going to have to get out of their pocket later? Um, yeah, this download, you said you couldn't download, even though it looks like there's a download button. Let's see. Which one is that? I think that's absolutely correct because I don't think we have. Looks like you can download, but you can't. That's correct. We are looking into that because we have a story out there to look into that because we want to know if we're going to take any of those files and put them in a tab of a browser when you hit that, or are they all just going to be downloaded to your system? Like a lot of times we could take a PDF, for example, and put it in another tab and show it, or we might be able to put text documents in other tabs in the browser and show them. Or do we just take everything there directly to downloads? There's also a document viewer in DocuWare. We don't know about that either. So we are looking into this a little bit more to see what direction we want to go with that download. And these files should end up, and I'll show you in a minute because I don't want to get out of this, but back on the Entities Documents tab. I'm not saying they do yet, but they will end up there also. All right. All right, let's take a look at costs here. Can we make these default to cost money format? The wrap page, let's see what I'm assuming. Like, do you want it to add cents and a period? Because these are rounded to the nearest dollar. Who is that? Oh, that's Sarah. Okay. Does anybody see a problem with this, or do we
For-
want to
For
put a
reporting,
sign there?
for
Oh.
reporting purposes, they need to be whole dollars. That doesn't mean you can't put them in and then the system on the backside rounds them and then reports them that way.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, what is it today? Is it dollars and cents? I don't
In the
know.
current IWDS, it's rounded to the, it's like this. It's rounded to the.
It's like this, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we need a dollar sign though? Somewhere here? I mean, I don't, sometimes people are like, is this units or? We don't have that anywhere. We just have this subtleness. Yay, nay. Okay.
Personally, I'd like it, once you put in the number, to then to fill in the dollar sign, potential comma, and the cents, even though there's zeros. It just, maybe that's me being the accounting person, but like that just looks like a count to me and not necessarily a dollar. And if it's an easy, just this is the master, how it automatically populates once you tab to the next field, then I just think it's easier on the eye. That's all.
Yeah, and it puts that in there. We can, if you tab and it puts the period 00, we can do that. That's not a problem. Or if it doesn't take a period anyway, so it's pretty simple. Okay. Okay, what information are we trying to gain from describe other expenses? Okay, maybe we've had a couple questions on this. This is the information we gave on that right above it. And we actually didn't make you hit an icon to see that. But this explains that, and maybe that just faded into the other one. Somebody didn't see that. Who gave us that? Not sure who gave us that. It might have been Sarah. Did anybody else have in the local side have any problems with that? Understanding what this is?
Can you scroll back up on the other page? Okay. Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I saw the fees. I wasn't sure.
I think it was Sarah, but okay. I think this is Sarah's, so I'll address those. This is Paula's. I need to address all of Paula's. Just looking for anything else we have from locals. So before I leave this page, has everybody kind of got their say on this page? Is there any other strong one that we don't have here that gets hit a lot that you don't want to put in other? Okay, good. All right, let's go to next. All right, instructional hours. Haven't got anything on instructional hours. Is this straightforward? For some reason it seems light for some reason, but I don't know if that's just me or not, but it seems like it's awful light. So that's credit hours, complete the program, total hours of instruction, classroom lab time, and then if it's clock hour-based program, how much per week, how many weeks to complete the program. I think this might have been one question before I noticed and the data migration will probably have to do some work on that because I think it was just weekly or something. Or it wasn't weekly, it was something a little bit different, but if nobody
I
has any
think
problem,
it's
that talks about clock
total
hours.
clock hours, I think is what it currently asks for.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too, whoever that was. I think it's just total clock hours, so that'll be tricky maybe.
Yeah, total hours of instructional classroom lab time. Oh, and then how many weeks does it
Yeah, that's
typically
gonna be
take?
good. So we just got to, that way we'll be able to fill this out. So as long as
So
we have
you
the
could
weeks.
do total hours and then weeks and then maybe divide it up, I guess, to get the,
Yep.
or you could maybe a third field to have total hours, total number of weeks, and then average weekly hours or something. And then
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, we should separate drug and alcohol screening? You noticed that whoever Tara, I think it was. Do you notice this? To be pretty common. It says and or, but we could, I mean, we could probably separate out. It doesn't really matter. But you have to check too then. Anybody have any dog in that fight? I'll look into the circles filling in completely. It's something in our framework that does that. Um, somebody thinks that's clever, I guess. I don't know. It's actually opposite of what some of them. Some of them are filled in and there's a little ring. Anyway, I took that other thing. So we may or may not need to do that. It does say and or. So that kind of takes care of that. Program costs. This is another one I pulled down here, your program costs, because it didn't have a cost page. Tuition box on the cost page, I got a red circle with a line through it. Okay, let's go back there. Maybe it's only on first time in that we're seeing that. This is probably what you got. Something like this. First time in. And if you were over it and, okay, let me see. Let's get out of this. Let's get into, let's just go hit this one real quick. Nope, can't hit that one. That's already filled out. Let me do a new one, I'm sorry. Being lazy. All right. I don't think you get that unless you touch it. But maybe we need to look at something to cause that. It says when I hover over over the tuition box on the cost, I got a red circle with a line through it. Oh, you got this. Now, you're going to get that if you're not in edit mode. I don't know if you didn't realize that. So I'm going to cancel out of here. And I'm going to go here. If I was here, I'm sorry, here, that's what you get when you're not in edit mode. Maybe you didn't know you weren't in edit mode, wherever that was. Okay, but then it says, thought it was related to the problem. Then I discovered tiny, oh, yeah. My fault. Did anybody else have problems with that, discovering that there is, and that's just not one we can edit because it's already in, let me get one that's not in, not submitted. There's one that's not submitted. Have problems that didn't realize that they weren't in edit mode. I don't know necessarily if it has to be that small, but anyway. Okay. After putting a save, we went back to the page again, the edit button, no longer, okay. No, they don't have the edit button unless they save and exit and then they come back and view it. The first time in, they don't have an edit button because the first time in, they're adding it. So the first time in, they do not have an edit button. And yes, that question is yes. I'll get answers in these for you. If you edit after approved plan, then it's going to have to trigger a reapplication process. Okay, let's take a look at this. Prereqs. Let's take a look at this. There we go. I think this is where it was. Whoops, did the same thing I talked about. So if you tap through these, it does not do it. Let me get up here again. But if you hit the space bar, it does. That's kind of how checkboxes work. I think radio buttons work the same way. Yeah, you can change those by hitting the space bar. Anybody has any other thoughts on that? So Sarah's, I'll get back to that. ONET codes. Okay, unlike zip codes, ONET code finder allows you to put in more than 6 codes and then evaluate which ones you want to keep. Since you get a message that says only 6 are allowed, I had 8 codes the first time. Tried to manually search in the list and it listed all 8 so that I could view and then delete the 2 I didn't want. I like the big red X that comes up when you want to delete a code. The color is eye-catching, attention getting. Unfortunately, if you use the actual search feature, key in any numbers. Yeah, same thing. Numbers aren't recognized. Let's go to ONET real quick. Once again, if we did 11.10.11, nothing's happening. It's not going to find anything. So we'll get that going. We'll get that so you can do either way. As opposed to just being able to do it by.
Is it the dash as well? Because in this system, it's populating using the standard stock,
Yeah, no, you can't
dash, but in the current IWDS, the probably just, I mean, I think it's, understandably for programming logic reasons, you don't use it doesn't display them with the dash after the first 2 digits of the taxonomy of the family. So maybe if you searched using the dash, would it come up? But if you search not using the dash, maybe it won't. Is that?
No, it doesn't recognize the number of searches, even if you put the exact format or no format. We're going to get that to happen though.
That was a long shot. I was just throwing that out there. Maybe that was
no, it's not. We'll get it so that if you format it, we'll find it. If you don't format it, we'll find it. As much as we can of that code. That's not a big deal. We'll get that fixed.
would it make sense to bold the word name, enter the
Yeah,
name,
we can do that, but it's okay for you if you know, right there. Yeah, you bet
just
we
to
can
make
do
it
that.
jump out more? I mean, you're
Yeah.
thinking number.
No, that's fine. Yeah, everybody, I want both, right? Just like you can in the front end where you can just put in, right? 131021. I don't know if there is one. I doubt it, but there's
Yeah,
not.
because I think the whole thing is if you're thinking like a provider, especially, at no point does anybody think code means name. Code is a number,
Yep.
period.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yep.
And Paul's got his hand up, but then I've got a comment out.
All right, sure. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so I just had a question on the previous page where we were talking about the edits and when you do an edit, potentially needing to get the training program recertified.
Yes.
So if a provider goes in there and clicks edit and starts changing stuff, and it goes to it needs recertification. So notice goes to the LWIA, owning LWIA, wherever it goes. The new information is in there. So now the training program under the original certification is still good.
Okay, I'll tell you about how this works. You bet. Thanks for bringing that up. I'll explain this. So, after a program is, first of all, after a program has been submitted, the provider's not going to be, and it's still in the review process, the provider's not going to be able to edit unless it gets into a needs clarification mode, okay, status. So a provider can only, one before approval, and I'll get to your question, can only edit it when it's in not submitted status or needs clarification status. Okay. Second of all, if a program is active and the provider edits it, the system builds a copy of that program and puts that into in this situation would be continuing not submitted status, but it puts it into a status that when they get done editing, they have to submit that. The other program that's active is still active all the way up through the review process of the changes, all the way up until it's accepted and active. Okay. So I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, because like currently in IWAT, when they edit something, it gets set to a pending status, and then you're sitting there like, are we able to still use this or not? But technically the program's been certified and the next certification is, whenever, but then when they go in and change stuff, there isn't a copy that's made, like you were saying.
Right. And there is a scenario.
So you're like, well, I can't really use this because they changed stuff in there now and it's not been certified. But the old original one was certified for until next year. So
Yep.
so in this way, you'd be able the one that's once it starts being edited, the original one is copied, will still be able to utilize and approve trainings based on that copy, but the one that's being edited, we won't even see until it's activated.
Until it's activated. That's correct.
Wait, I'm confused with that. Currently in policy, there are certain elements of information that if it changes, the program gets put in a holding status. You can't enroll anyone during that period because we need to confirm that the information doesn't take them out of eligibility status.
You can't enroll anybody, right? Let me just make sure I asked this question correctly, but obviously it's not going to, change the fact that people are enrolled in the previous one.
Right. You don't have to take people out of a program unless there's some
Right.
significantly egregious activity going on.
And Mark, the new one that you approve is going to have a date range that is the previous one is going to be ended, and the new one's going to take precedence. It's going to have the date range to take precedence. Did I ask that right? Okay. So say I come in, say we have one that's, the date range is, just make it simple, it's 7/1/2025 to 6/30/2026. Say I did that.
Right.
And it's active. And then I come in right now, 9/18 or whatever we are. And I'm like, okay, wow, I need to change something. And one of those things I need to change happens to be one of those elements that has to force this resubmittal process. Okay. So we make that copy, it goes through the review process, and you say, yeah, I think everything's okay with that. And you make it active. Then the current one's going to get indated today, and the new one's going to get, the copied one that's got changed is going to get activated tomorrow, right?
Right. But if you're in the middle of a period, you're only going to get then that the end date doesn't change.
Correct.
You don't start a new year because we don't have two initial.
Right. You don't
this
get
was
it
the first.
Yeah,
I
I
get
got
another
you.
new year. You're just
Right.
continue on saying, yep, everything.
It'll
Thanks for letting
take,
us know about the changes, and everything looks good still.
right. It'll look like it'll have like 9/19 to 6/30/2026.
Right.
Based on my example. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Right. Okay. So my question was, does that help, Paul,
Well, so then,
before we
so
move
then,
on?
yeah, so then based on that, if an edit is done by the provider, then at that point, it's changed. So we would not be able to approve trainings until the new edit has been approved. Is that how I'm understanding that?
Rory is saying that's there. So may I'm misunderstanding what the pending status
Well, wait a minute.
currently is.
We haven't ended the other program, the current program yet, until that change has been approved.
So you would be able to still approve the training program.
I'm kind of asking with you, Rory. I assume we could, because
Oh, sorry.
that change is not, that change to the program has
Yeah,
not
I mean,
approval
in
yet.
theory, in some ways it should be like that. And I don't quote me on this. I could be totally wrong, but well, you can quote me on like that. You can use a program if it's pending research. That we've done it. I know that for sure. Don't quote me on the why that is. I can't remember if it's because of a grace period or an allowable period, or maybe the rationale and the old. And this might be changing as the training provider policy, the states, the training provider policy gets changed or updated. But I want to say maybe the rationale was something like, if it was already approved and in good standing, while it's being submitted, there's like maybe a grace period, so to speak, of where the LWIA and then the LWIB have time to review the program if it's in pending recertification status. And it's kind of like, well, like Mark said, if there wasn't anything really egregious about it that would cause it to get suspended or rejected for that. And it's not permanent. I mean, it can't stay in pending recertification, as we all probably know, for too long. I mean, eventually the system will put it into capture, and the reason will be failure to recertify within the required time limit or something like that. So there is a period of time where if a program's status is in not pending initial, no, because like you said, we don't know. We have to review this program. We don't know if it's good, if it's going to lead, if it does lead to an recognized credential, is it an in-demand occupation, all those kinds of things. But when it's pending recertification, I mean, I think the rationale was that like, well, it was already approved. It can still be selected for LWIAs to enroll participants in the program for a brief time. I don't know if it's 30 days, 60 days, maybe something like that, but for the brief time while the program for the time frame that's allowed to the LWIB and the LWIA and the LWIB to review, the program to decide if it's going to be renewed, recertified, or get continuing eligibility, I think is the term now. So so that's kind of how it is now. But like I said, I'm not exactly sure if that was the reason why. Or if maybe the system just lets you do it and nobody knows why. It was just something that was missed years ago.
Rory, Rory, I think the reason why was because most of the final approval is done by a board meeting, which are only held sometimes
Right.
quarterly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is that like it's like, well, you can't like remove the program because it could still be good since it was already approved previously.
And usually, I mean, the main reason that the changes happen oftentimes is like it's with community colleges, they up their tuition rate. So
Right.
when they announce that, you might not have a WIB meeting for another 60 days or 30 days. You could get the initial approval from your sort of group of your small group that you may have.
Yeah, the
But
committee, what is it? No less than two or no
the committee of three, we call
committee of
ours.
three or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it currently it's two or more.
Yeah.
And the discussion going in to a couple points of that is it doesn't even have to be a committee. It can be just the ETPL coordinator under new policy. But they are acting on behalf of the board. So if they say approved, it's approved during the period of time until it even goes to the board. It's as if the board approved it. Now the board can change that decision, but anything that occurred during that time is legit. I don't know how often a board has ever changed their small committee. I don't know how many OEs actually have the small committee, but if the board does change that decision, then it is what it is from the board perspective. But in the meantime, if the committee had approved it, it's good and available for selection. The other thing is we're considering, and maybe some of you can respond to it, taking cost as one measure. When we look at all those items that are mandatory or non-mandatory that need to be looked at again, we're thinking of taking costs off because that really doesn't reflect the quality of a program. It only reflects what it costs to do that. And your board already has policies on how much they're going to spend. So they can take a program that today costs $5,000 and change it to $25,000. What's that change the program quality? Nothing. What's that change your ability to enroll someone only as it relates to your local policy on the costs, right? So we may take away costs from something that mandates a review, re-review, and say if you would want to know that.
Yeah.
So if they change that, maybe we ask that there's a notification goes to the coordinator that says, hey, just to be aware that this changed from 5,000 to 25,000. Don't just keep writing ITAs out for that program thinking it's the same $5,000 cost. But it wouldn't say, well, now it goes on a pending status waiting for the board to review it again. And there might be other elements of that list of mandatory information that we might consider changing as well. But cost was the first one I thought of, at least, that I don't see why we need to make that mandatory.
That's right. Yeah.
Even
Do you
if it
have a
is,
list? Do we have a list yet of those? Are you working on that list, or did you give
Well,
it to?
Laura and I and Sarah was talking about that this morning. I thought we had put together a list, but maybe Paul and I talked about it and never did submit it to you. So we'll get you something. It's not going to change much of what it is today, I don't think.
Okay. The other thing I've got to ask you, or want to make a statement, and then Mark, you can correct me if I'm stating this wrong, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that a reapplication process is different than an edit process, right? Okay, so we're going to work similar in our system, but we're going to have a reapplication button that we just got out of in this first UAT, realized that we're going to need that. So if it's an active program, if I was, let me get out of here. If I'm an active program, maybe this is an active program, then you would see up at the top with the appropriate role and all that, of course, a reapplication, reapply. We got to get the language right, but the reapplication button. That's different than editing an active program, and it's different in several ways. But one of the ways is what Mark just mentioned, which is the date range, right? If you're editing a program that's active, the end date of that is going to stay the same as the current program is. You don't just get to go in there and edit it and then it extends the date another year or two. So when you reapply, it's different. It's different.
Right. I think boards, or I'm sorry, providers, and maybe in consultation with the local coordinator, we'll make a decision. If we say you can't reapply for your next continuing period unless it's within 90 days of expiration of the current period.
Right.
And if there's some kind of change, then they might as well go ahead and reapply with the new information rather than edit and then have to still reapply. You know what I'm
I see
saying?
what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
But you're right. I think an edit only confirms new information, doesn't extend anything from an eligibility standpoint. Reapplication is starting a new 2-year period of continued eligibility, or what it's currently called recertification. So that it'll be important for them, and they won't have to put every single bit of information in an edit. They're just going to enter what's changed, whereas an application reapplication is going to be all information has to be re-entered. Now you can copy stuff over so they don't have to type it all in, but
Yeah.
somehow you're going to have to make it to where they have to confirm everything that's copied over, if they don't change it, is still accurate.
Yes, definitely.
Um,
When they hit that
and-
reapply button, then we're going to make that copy, and then they got to go through every step of it.
Yeah.
Like it's
to
not.
confirm.
They have to confirm every page. You bet.
Yep. Yep. So back to the ONET deal, and I know Laura's got some conversation in the thing, and then I think we had a couple people have their hands up. You're going to allow up to first. I think you don't decimal point and the 2 digits after "al." We don't use those digits for anything as far as determining demand occupation. If there are multiple, I don't even know what they're called, where there's decimals. So you have a 15, 12, 11 -01 -02 -03. When we look at it from data perspective and demand occupation, only 15, 12, 11 gets looked at. Anything underneath it's going to get approved or denied equally.
Okay.
So the 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2 don't ever come into play. And I don't know that we report that in yeah, she's bringing up Pearl. I'll have to figure out if it how it's listed in there. Oh shoot, I just had that up. I'll let you know. I'll look at that in a minute here. I just had it open. Anyway, so I don't know that we necessarily need them for this purpose now, because you're only going to end up showing 0, 0 every single time.
Yeah. Okay. Get that.
So it might just be extra numbers that confuse people.
Exactly.
Also back to the allowability of how many you can enter.
Yes.
And this is something we've talked about. I'm not sure if we talked locally, but we got to figure out how the way we report in the ETP reporting, we can only report 3 ONET
Right.
codes. That's all it allows us to enter. We
Right.
want as many as that provider thinks is associated with that program.
Yes.
But in order to do the match down the road that says, hey, this person got a job related to their training, it's only going to be matched to the 3 that get submitted. So it's really a false analysis to begin with. So what we're going to have to ask, and why he's got primary, secondary, other, is the providers and working with the coordinator if they need to identify the 3 most likely outcomes of that program. Otherwise, if it's the 5th one that they list in here, we'll never get a match that says they got a job in that field or related to that training. I don't know why they limit to 3. I guess just they don't want to have an overload of information. And so we're making the expansion to allow providers to enter more and more, just so we can do better matching with our participant in discussions versus saying, oh, this only relates to 1 job. Oh, that's not a very good program as far as having a very wide range of jobs you might be able to get if you complete it. So I just want to make clear for our local folks, especially, somehow we're going to have to make it clear why they would put 3 of the 6 higher on the list.
Yeah.
And identify them as primary, secondary.
Yeah.
And it's a judgment call. I mean, some of them are going to be an easy call. If you're in an accountant, if you're looking for an accountant job, if you're accounting 101 or whatever, pretty easy to put that as the first code. But some of these won't be quite as easy, and it leaves leaves the opening to not get a match down the road. And it's not a performance measurement, that match, but it's certainly a nice analysis that people like to see if the training led to the job it was meant to be, leading to.
Yep. Other hands? Do we have other hands up? don't
I
see
mean,
any.
I was doing a little, let me step in a little bit because I wanted to talk about maybe 15 minutes ago when y'all was bringing all of this thing up. I know Mark was just talking about the ONET code, about adding as much as you can. But when you go into the system and add, you only could pick one. Now, when that person get that credential and get exit, where on the employment screen they're going to match the job title to that ONET code? That's going to be another question that's going to need to be answered because something doesn't seem correct there. When you was talking about the pending certification, the provider, to my knowledge, could only go in there and edit if it's approved or when it come up for
Yes. Well,
recertification.
if it's approved or it's in
Recertification,
no,
repending.
or if it's in clear, if it's the first
Not
time,
submitted.
it's
Right.
not submitted.
Not submitted. Now, y'all will people still able to use it, which is true. They could still use it, but I have my area let me know that they want to use it because we want to verify if the prices change. And I know y'all were talking about cost, but to my understanding, what I understood from DCO is that whatever the cost is that the community college provided, they got to show the same price what they showing to us to the general public. So if we don't put a cost there, I don't know how that would work in the whole
He's
scheme
not
of
saying
stuff.
not put the cost there. What Mark is saying is if the cost is edited during the program, it's not really going to force. It's not going to be one of those
It doesn't trigger a
elements that trigger a
triggers a pending
re-review.
research.
Yeah.
Well, okay, which is fine, but would they've edited it's come back as a rependant, and guess what? The system, the IWDS system right now will change that next certification date to another date.
Yeah,
And I
we're
know,
not going to let the system make that decision anymore, Robert,
oh,
because
okay, good.
yeah, because like for Al's example, if my date starts on July 1st and it's my initial and it's only for 1 year and I change something in August,
Correct.
I don't get another initial anyway. You only get one initial. So
Okay,
I'm not going to give you 2 years after only having eligibility for one month. So all
exactly.
you do is all that editing does is continue your eligibility period of that 1 or 2 years if it's this, next time
Okay, that
around.
would be good. And
Yep.
that would be
Yep.
for the new system, not currently what's
Yes.
going on. Good.
Correct.
Okay, then
Correct.
that would be good because that was the only thing I didn't like about it, that it changed the date and it tell you to take that date out because the system itself wanted to update the date. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we probably should have, which it wouldn't have gotten done. I imagine wouldn't have got done regularly, but we probably should have put in policy that you can manually change that date. You should always manually change it back to the date it should be, but we've not bothered with doing that in policy, and the system is just going to give you what it gives.
yeah,
And
we wasn't told to
yeah,
change the
no,
date. They
right.
said,
No, I don't think we want to deal with that. The system is
right.
what it is at this point, but we will fix that or change it in the new system.
Okay, good, good. Okay.
Now, can I get back to that question you had about employment, ONET
Yes,
versus,
how you would tie those things into the new system.
well, your
Because
employment, hold on a minute. Doesn't your employment, you're going to pick an ONET, right? In your employment record, you're putting in, you're going to select an ONET, right?
on your job,
I haven't seen that screen yet, but yeah.
Oh, on the job record, yeah, and the
On
employment
the
history.
job record, don't you select the ONET?
Yes,
Yeah.
when we add the
Yeah.
detail to the job,
So
yeah.
what are you saying?
and the thing what I'm saying, certain job. Now, say what you were saying about the old. Say the job that they got it is in the red,
Yeah.
and it's not going to you're not going to add any red job on the ONET here on this list that you're showing. You won't. It doesn't make. It's not logical. Only green or yellow or that tan color. Now, say a job is in the red. How do you tie it in? without being local approved, certain things on the on that policy, and the policy
Right. They're
is
called low priority, but in reality, they're
right.
not priority. Well, you wouldn't enter anything that's not priority because it's not going to be helpful to the process.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say, I mean, there's no reason not to do it. I mean, I suppose you could put it there for informational purposes to say, hey, I'm looking to become an accountant, but the fifth or sixth job that's associated with this program is not priority. Entering it's not going to get you anything more, but it's just more information for a career planner to talk to. Because you know what? Not everyone that gets a job in the fields that are listed in this ONET code
Absolutely.
also. So, initial thinking is it's not going to hurt if you put a not priority job on there. And in fact, to my point earlier about the matching, when we get jobs, maybe it matches one that's not priority, and the QRA code that we get from DOL that tries to do this matching, and it's a very small number to be honest with you, so it's not a very good number anyway. But I doubt it would look at the fact that it's in demand or not in Illinois. It just says it's a match, so it might help in some instances in a secondary report that we get from DOL to say, oh yeah, you got another match by putting those. But I wouldn't recommend that everyone start doing that for every single job. I mean, that's a heck of a job for the provider to identify that many more.
Yeah, I mean, we got to look at it how it would benefit each local area, which I understand everything you and Al is talking about. It just based on the employment screen. And then let's say if IDS is uploading that employment stuff, they normally doesn't have those ONET code. They don't have the NASA code in there. Now the only time if you go in there and try to edit it, then it forces you to put those codes in. But if we just pick it, if IDS load them up, those codes is not there. We just could pick the job and it'll still go through. So from an IDS standpoint, when they do the upload, who would monitor those codes in the system and had to go back in there and edit it to put the right code?
Well, in reality, the problem is that when we get a match, a wage and employment match from IDS, we don't
Yes,
get an employment code. We get a NAICS code. We don't get
You get the
specifics
industry
of
of
the,
the
yeah, we get
employer.
the industry. We don't get the
That's all
job.
they're
The only,
collecting, yeah.
so there's the false reading
Ma-
of that measure that they look at. It's a non-binding, not a non-performance measure. It's just something they give us. That's why we're down in the 30% matching range, is because the only way we get an actual job matching is if someone enters it, because in follow-up they were told, yeah, I'm a driver, as opposed to I'm working in the warehouse.
exactly.
We get a company and we can put it in transportation. We don't know the job, and we'll never, as far as I know, unless IDS beefs up their ability to get information from employers, we don't get that specificity, so we would never be able to match it.
Right.
Now, to your point of putting on non-demand occupations, the only real benefit would be is if we were to ever able to get to where we can update demand list more often,
Or by
and you have a
petition.
code that comes in or a petition that comes in and makes something that's not priority now a priority, a demand occupation, it's already there and it would just auto update. And it's already
Correct.
attached to that provider's program. Whereas if I update the list and I add a new job, unless the provider goes in and goes, oh, hey, we got a demand occupation we can add to this, then it's not going to be there. Nobody's going to know it. So again, I don't want people to go through a bunch of work and put a bunch of non-priority jobs on a list, but there is a benefit, there may be a little bit of a benefit to go ahead and do it from an information standpoint and then from an update perspective down the
And how
road.
would that work with the wizard when y'all look outside of Illinois to see if these person is working?
All we get, well, I don't want to speak to what we get from Swiss wages from out of state. I don't know how much information we get versus just a wage. All I'm aware of is a wage. I don't know if we get the industry from those or not.
Right.
But you know, we could look into that. And again, it doesn't necessarily affect performance, but it certainly is a nice thing to know. It's just such a low number now. I don't know how to improve, have a real good idea how we improve that matching of occupation to training without employer involvement. And it's interesting. I'm on a committee of the state workforce board, and we've got some employers that are starting to look a little bit more at more information, and that's something that's come up in their discussion is how can we do this better? And a couple of the employers go, we got to do a better job of giving information, because in general the employers just don't give the information. Some of them don't respond to
Yeah,
the
yeah, they
surveys.
don't. They don't.
So
I
you know,
agree with you on that.
yeah, part of the problem is their own doing, and maybe maybe in Illinois the state board has some interest in doing a better job.
I mean, I'm sorry, I know we're over, and this is kind of maybe another conversation for another day, another part of another element of the new IWDS. But one of the career planners, I think, brought it up to me when I was kind of not getting on people, but I kind of get on people. I'm like, because everything you're saying is, of course, makes sense, Mark. But there could be some ways. I mean, it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to improve internally. So I always ask the career planners, I'm like, even when they're entering a job manually, I'm like, if you're going to check the box training related, and I think it says something like how you determine that on the exit control panel, it says like a cross reference of the occupation of training and the occupation at exit, or something worded, something similar to that. And I'm like, maybe like when you're doing a job record for that you're going to use in the exit panel to select for exit, I don't know, maybe when you go to put an ONET code on the exit panel, maybe it brings up the ones that were associated with the training program. And then if you have to select other, it's other, but at least then you can say, oh yeah, it's one of these. And maybe that would help matching, or at least that would help confirm that there is a match between the occupation somebody got a job in that related to the one that was included with
Yeah, I think
something.
and the thing is, right. The thing is, the unfortunate is that is handled in follow-up services and talking with the participant after they, once they've got into follow-up. But it would not be considered a follow-up service, just getting information. So we have to be cautious from a career planner's perspective of not marking that as I talked to the person. Confirming employment isn't considered a follow-up service.
Yeah,
and that's really, to me, that's what that would be.
Yeah.
And then the other thing from a career planner perspective, I don't know how difficult it would be. In probably a high percentage, it's not going to be an issue, but someone tells me what their job title is, that doesn't tell me what their job is as far as matching it to a no net code. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you really got to dig into it and go, okay, so I'll use my, my past. I used to be a manpower planner 3. Someone called me and asked me that, they'd have no clue what that means. So, tell me a little bit more about what you do. See if I can match this up to one of these occupations. I don't know how much expectations from a career planner, nor the participant actually sharing that information, what they want to give. So, certainly worth asking, but I don't know.
We try. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can try.
Well,
Al,
I
there's a
think Mark
question in the
recommend-
chat on this page too.
Yes, we can.
Crystal.
Crystal's that,
I wonder if that's what the arrows were for. Good question,
that's how
Crystal.
you do. That's how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So go in and I would say just go in anything you think and enter all of them, all 6, 8. How many can they put in, Al? Is there unlimited or only 6?
I think there's just 6. Since it says 6 codes. Yeah.
6. Yeah. I mean,
So if I take another one, it'll replace. It should replace.
Yeah. I mean, that's up to if we can
So if I
expand
took
that, if people
one
think,
and added it.
right.
One.
Well,
Now you got
this-
6. Now you need one more.
Yeah, this is actually the one that I entered. And when I did it, I had 8 of them in there to start with, and then I deleted it to get down to 6.
Oh,
Were you
deleted it
forced
on
to
the-
delete
on
it?
the ONET page though, I probably.
Yeah, it was on the ONET page. It wasn't on this.
Right. It does it like if I did that, okay, look up here. All those are up there ready to go. But if I save those, sorry about destroying your thing, it only takes the top 6. Oh,
No,
you're
it didn't.
right. I stand corrected.
So your intent was 6, but your programming has
Yeah.
no limit.
Yeah, well, that's an, that's a
I'm
bonus.
not against having all the other ones. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to want to put in more than 3, 4, or 5.
But it's a pain to delete them like this, so you don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
Well,
I
no,
get
you
you.
wouldn't want to allow them to do a mass one like that. You need to separate select them. Otherwise, people are going to put jobs that aren't related to the program. But I'm not against having more than 6 if it's not a bad process
Yeah.
from a programming perspective.
Because I was
the program.
surprised in the search thing that I could enter more than 6 to start with.
Yeah,
It
right.
surprised me. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think when you're in that search, I think the same way. I think you should have to select the occupation. You shouldn't be able to select the industry.
This one here,
Like
yeah.
yeah,
like
don't select
that.
the industry. You got to select each one individually. You might be able to look at them into like that. I don't mind opening up all of them here, but then the checkbox should be on the left of every one of these.
Assigned to a.
And then I pick each one
Shortly we can-
individually to say,
can check
add this to my
status.
job.
Okay. I
or my
asked Joanne if she
provider.
knew when it
Yeah.
would be delivered.
All right, I'm gonna cut this off today. It's open till tomorrow, by the way, and that's our first round. I promise I'll get everything in there and answered by Monday. And then we'll see where we're at for a second cycle, where that's going to be once we get some of these enhancements and fixes done. So thanks,
Well,
everybody. Really
one more
appreciate
comment if you
it.
got a minute, Al.
Yeah.
Just from our conversation yesterday, I reached out to our legal on that list of
Yep.
assurances.
Yep.
She says there's no legal standing one way or the other here. So I think we need to make a decision. So maybe bring it up to our next meeting,
Okay.
our next group meeting next week, and ask for input.
Yep.
I kind of like the check to say you, even if you're faking it, you're acknowledging you read it or you did
Checking each
something
one,
versus
you like checking
yeah.
each one.
But you know what? Maybe other people say that's kind of silly because we know they're not going to read them all.
Yeah,
you know,
it takes quite a
so
bit to do check because you have to get
Yeah.
on. It's quite a bit of a hassle.
yeah, I agree. So you know what? I think just bring it up to the larger group
I will.
and,
I sure will.
and find a consensus. Okay.
I will.
Thanks.
Thank you for checking on that. Appreciate
Yep,
it.
you're welcome.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Robert.